the FBI conducted a court-authorized search at the home of John Bolton, national security advisor under the first Trump administration.
Let's start with this relative to this particular story. John Bolton's house. Donald Trump dispatched his secret police to raid the home of his former national security advisor. You may ask why. This is why. This particular headline, and then we'll get to the story about the secret police raid of John Bolton's home. NPR, this is yesterday, first wave of Epstein files is being sent to Congress, says Oversight Committee Chair. The House Oversight Committee is expected to get hundreds of documents on Friday related to the Justice Department's investigation into the Jeffrey Epstein case. The release will mark the first wave of files to be sent to the committee in response to a congressional subpoena issued earlier this month, calling on the DOJ to provide records for its probe of the convicted sex offender and his longtime associate, Ghislaine Maxwell. This is the reason the dear leader is having his former, remember, I hire all the best people, all the smartest, all the best. But apparently he needs to raid the home of this gentleman, John Bolton, who, by the way, not a good guy. But criminal? I doubt it. He has integrity to his own warmongering beliefs, but I don't believe him to be a liar or a criminal. A coward, yes, but not a criminal. Where are we with all of this? I've got a tweet here from just 5 days ago where Donald Trump called John Bolton stupid in a Truth Social post. But I also have this from August 10th when he was on with Jonathan Karl on This Week on ABC, being asked about, are you worried about retribution from Donald Trump? It's all been on the radar. We know Donald Trump is going to go after and deliver retribution and revenge against those who speak out against him, who are not in alignment with his fascist worldview. Watch this from, again, August 10th, as though it's a surprise that the secret police are now raiding his home.
Before you go, we're about to talk about Trump's retribution campaign we're seeing at the FBI and the Justice Department. You're obviously on his enemies list, at least Kash Patel's enemies list. Are you worried that they're going to come after you in some way? I mean, he's hinted at it before.
Well, I think he's already come after me and several others in withdrawing the protection that we had for from the Iranians for the attack on Qasem Soleimani. So I think, and I said in the new forward to the paperback edition of my book, I think it is a retribution presidency.
Yeah.
You're already on the enemies list. This is America in 2025. We have a man-baby president with the powers like a dictator, with immunity granted from the Supreme Court that he can do anything he wants. He can act criminally like this. He can be sitting in the White House, watch an interview of Jonathan Karl. Actually, this was on the Sunday show, so he was probably on the golf course with his phone watching the news. And he could say, I don't like that guy. Secret police, go raid his home because I don't like him, because he disagrees with me, because of whatever reason. This is the situation we find ourselves in right now. 1 week later, Donald Trump posted this on Truth Social. The very unattractive, both inside and out, senator from Connecticut, Chris Murphy, said, quote, Putin got everything that he wanted. Actually, nobody got anything too soon, but getting close. Murphy is a lightweight who thinks it made the Russian president look good in coming to America. Actually, it was very hard for President Putin to do so. This war can be ended now, but stupid people like Chris Murphy, John Bolton, and others make it much harder to do so. Criticism, Donald Trump, makes your job harder. Well, if that's the case, I'm going to keep it up. Now, John Bolton, I'm going to get to a CNN clip that kind of breaks down in real time the shocking moment that we learned that his house was being raided. But before that, Let this serve as a message to John Bolton and others who believe they can eliminate the threat of retribution from Donald Trump by staying on his good side or trying to, of not testifying in his second impeachment trial. John Bolton could have avoided this by actually testifying and lending more weight, more gravity to the case that Democrats made in impeaching and bringing him to trial in the Senate for removal. But he refused to testify because he's a coward, because he was afraid, because he thought, well, if I don't testify, it will save me from the ire of Donald Trump. Ostensibly, you would guess that's what it was. Because what was in it for him to not testify against Donald Trump, not say what he knew, which he wrote about in his book? This is June 22nd, 2020 from the Washington Post. Why John Bolton didn't testify in the impeachment inquiry in the first place. According to John Bolton's book out Tuesday, it's fair to say President Trump's former national security advisor agreed with the Democrats that Trump politicized foreign policy for his own gain. Bolton claims Trump did so on multiple occasions. Bolton writes that Democrats committed impeachment malpractice for not investigating beyond Ukraine and says Trump asked China's president for help too. But at the time, he refused to willingly testify or even with a subpoena. He wasn't going to do it voluntarily, and even if compelled through legal subpoena, he was going to refuse. Now, earlier I said the second impeachment is the one he refused to testify in. I misstated. It's the first. When I read this, it reminded me that I said the wrong thing. So he could have absolutely avoided this. And this should be a lesson to all of those people out there. Sidling up to Donald Trump isn't going to save you. If you're a Republican and you think allying with Donald Trump or not going so far and trying to distance yourself, but being in that easy, safe space, it's not going to save you. If you're a full-fledged MAGA, a farmer, you own a business, you're not going to be saved. He's seeking to deport the guy who ran the Trump burger in Texas. He's destroying American manufacturing in this country. He's destroying MAGA businesses because with his tariffs. You're not going to be saved. Here to explain in breaking news terms, the morning team, I think it's John Berman and Kate Baldwin over at CNN, and really pay attention to the language that's used. In this moment, in the United States history, we have a journalism that is not meeting the moment. They're not calling it like it is. That Donald Trump is using his secret police force, his masked federal agent goons, FBI, ATF, ICE, Border Patrol, name them. They're all his secret police now. And he's using them accordingly. And they're not calling it as it is. They're covering this as though it's a real investigation, as though there's a real predicate for doing what they're doing. Harassment, intimidation, distraction from the Epstein files that got delivered to Congress today. Watch this from CNN.
We learned just moments ago, according to a source, that the FBI conducted a court-authorized search at the home of John Bolton as part of a national security investigation. John Bolton, former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, former national security advisor under the first Trump administration, a frequent critic of late of President Trump, a frequent vocal critic of President Trump, and President Trump has been a frequent vocal critic of John Bolton. Lots of bad blood between these two men, but again, learning that there is a court-authorized FBI search at John Bolton's home this morning. Let's bring in CNN's Caitlin Polance for the very latest on this. We saw pictures of officers around the home of John Bolton. What's known at this time?
Well, John, we are looking at these pictures of John Bolton's home in Maryland being searched by the FBI, or FBI officials going to his door to conduct a search. And we have confirmed that the FBI conducted that court-authorized search, meaning that they would have gone to a court as part of a very likely criminal probe. Our understanding is this part of a national security investigation. Exactly what that would be and what sort of reasoning the Justice Department and the FBI would give the court for conducting that national security search, still a huge question here. But this is a person that Donald Trump has been very much on the outs with since he wrote a book about his service in the first Trump administration when John Bolton was the national security advisor to President Donald Trump. At that time, Trump was very unhappy that Bolton was talking about things that Trump did that made Trump look very bad publicly, ways that Trump himself handled other foreign leaders, national security, classified issues. And Trump at that time, back in 2020, was saying that John Bolton should face criminal problems for allegedly publishing classified information. Trump was saying that any conversation with him was classified and thus none of it should have been able to be revealed in John Bolton's book. That then led to a grand jury investigation of John Bolton in the District of Columbia's federal court. It resulted in no charges. So what this is there a link to that situation? This is official that we know has a lot of classified information over his long tenured service in government. So John Bolton now being under investigation again after not being in government for several years. We are going to have a lot of questions going forward. I've reached out to John Bolton's attorney, who handled his issues through the first grand jury investigation, and CNN reached Bolton directly. This morning, Bolton said he was unaware of this FBI activity and was looking into it further. John.
We are in unprecedented times. Scary, scary times. Who's next? Likely people in my space, the people who speak out against Donald Trump firmly, boldly, every single day. It's starting with the more well-known public figures like John Bolton, like some Democrats, like black mayors and black congresswomen who are being charged, arrested for trying to do their job of oversight and governing. And if it's outside of the purview of what Donald Trump's interests are or his positions are, he's going to come after you. I may be next. I'm a smaller fry, certainly. But I can tell you this, I am not going to shut up. I will not be silenced. And I hope you feel the same way.
One of the things we're going to be redoing is your parks. I'm very good at grass because I have a lot of golf courses all over the place. I know more about grass than any human being, I think, anywhere in the world.
It will come as no shock to you that Donald Trump, I believe, is a weakling and a coward. And yesterday it was on full display. He acts like a big, bold, tough guy when he's in front of conservatives and on their radio shows and doing their TV interviews, that he's a bold man of action. Called himself a war hero the other day because he authorized the mission where planes flew into harm's way to bomb Iran. That makes him a war hero. Well, yesterday he was on the show, the Todd Starnes Show, and he broke the news in real time that I'm keeping this a secret except to you and all of your listeners, that I'm going to go out on patrol tomorrow or today. Later today, it was yesterday. So I'm going to go out on patrol with the FBI and the military and the cops. And we got to, what did he say? So we're going to do a job. And it broke the brains of everybody. Whoa, what? He's going to go out. He's going to patrol the streets with them. Brittany Page and I immediately left the house. We immediately tried to furiously find where he was going to be. And when we found out where he was, we headed to Anacostia across the river. Donald Trump, though, I will tell you now, spoiler alert, did not patrol the streets of Washington, D.C. Weak, feckless, coward, fundamentally afraid to face the public. Fundamentally, he's a tough guy when he says it. Oh, yeah, we're going to go out there. We're going to patrol with the military. We got a job to do. But then he goes and gives a rambling speech in front of the Anacostia police station And then immediately, as soon as it was over, got out of there. As soon as he was done making his remarks, beat feet, got right back to the White House. Southeast D.C., across the river, too scary for Donald Trump. Even while there are dozens and dozens of cops and authorities and National Guard out there to witness his rambling nonsense. This is the moment, just to put everything in context and perspective for you, of him on Todd Starnes' show announcing the big secret that he was going to be patrolling the streets. And then we're going to get to the speech that he gave, the rambling nonsense, and the fact that he absolutely did not patrol anywhere. He ran back to the safety of the White House and his dozens of heavily armed guards, rather than patrolling the crime-ridden streets of Washington, D.C.
The real people, though, they're calling, even Democrats are calling me up saying, it's unbelievable. You know, it's been 4 days, right? And they said it's unbelievable. And I'm going to be going out tonight. I'm going to keep it a secret, but I'm going to go. You're the only one that knows. You and your lots of listeners. You have a great show. You have a very successful show, by the way, in case you haven't heard that. But I'm going to be going out tonight, I think, with the police, with the military, of course. So we're going to do a job.
You heard him say it. I'm going to be going out tonight. I'm going to keep it a secret, but I'm going to go. I'm going to go, says the non-liar Donald Trump. You're the only one that knows, you and your lots of listeners. And then he rambles about what a great show he has. I'm going to be going out tonight. I think, there's the qualifier. I think with the police and with the military, of course. So we're going to be doing a job. Well, the job ended up being a goofy, rambling, nonsense, confusing speech from an octogenarian moron who wants to act like a tough guy when he is just a makeup-wearing president. Fox News, of course, wanted to help out. They ran with this chyron for a long time while he was speaking. Now, Trump on patrol in D.C., when that was nothing even close to reality. He was not patrolling. He was talking about lying while talking about all the people who are calling him. Even Democrats are saying, this is unbelievable what's happening. You've really fundamentally changed the city. It's so fucking stupid. Talking about all of the phone calls he's definitely receiving. Oh yeah, very true, very real, that what you're getting ready to hear.
We've had a great period of time, but I've never received so many phone calls thanking me for what we've done in Washington, D.C., from people that haven't gone to a restaurant literally in 4 years. And they said, you know, what you've done it's unprecedented, because what they said, it was just unsafe. We couldn't do it. We'd go out and you'd see the stories, you'd read the stories, you'd see all of the things that are happening. And they said, we couldn't stand it, sir. And now I take my wife and my kids to dinner. One of them said he's gone out 4 nights in a row, and he hadn't gone out for 4 years. So it's a great tribute to you.
Yeah, that sounds very, very realistic, Donald Trump, that people are calling you, thanking you, people who have literally not gone to a restaurant in 4 years. Sounds very true. I was in a restaurant last night. I'm in a restaurant multiple times a week, unfortunately. And let me tell you, it's not 4 years since I've been in one. Last night, last week, the week before that, and the week before that, and the week before that. It went on, his rambling, where he's in this new era where he's telling the audience that are witnessing his ramble that that they are stupid, that they don't understand the things that he understands. In this moment, he kind of catches himself and says, yeah, you don't understand what I'm talking about. And then he's like, oh shit, yeah, I can't really call everybody morons. So he catches himself and says, well, nobody understands it. Nobody understands it because what you're saying is an abject lie. We didn't receive $17 trillion from Saudi Arabia. And if we did, It seems like a problem. Where's that money? How is it being accounted for? And why are we taking $17,000 billion from a funder of terrorism for the nation and the royal family that is responsible for 9/11? Why are we taking that much money from them? Listen to him ramble and also call the audience too stupid to understand what he's talking about.
As far as the country's concerned, we're respected again. We had a country that was laughed at a year ago. They thought they couldn't understand what was happening, and it's about leadership. But we had a country that was a dead country in many ways. I went to Saudi Arabia. I went to Qatar. I went to UAE. We came back with $5.1 trillion of investment in this country, and we're over $17 trillion. Now, a lot of you don't know what that means. And nobody knows what it means because it's never happened before. In 5 months.
Again, where's that money? $17 trillion. The money's not there. That's not a thing. No nation has pledged $17,000 billion to the United States for whatever. That's why it's difficult to understand. That's why nobody knows what it means. He continued his rambling, audience confused, bored, out of their minds, supposed to be on patrol, remember? And he starts talking about his genius, not about finances and the things that nobody knows what it means, but about grass.
One of the things we're going to be redoing is your parks. I'm very good at grass because I have a lot of golf courses all over the place. I know more about grass than any human being, I think, anywhere in the world. And we're going to be regrassing all of your parks, all brand new sprinkler systems, the best that you can buy, just like Augusta. No, it'll look like Augusta. It'll look like, more importantly, Trump National Golf Club. That's even better. But we're going to have all brand new, beautiful grass. You know, like everything else, grass has a life. Do you know that? Grass has a life. You know, we have a life and grass has a life. And the grass here died about 40 years ago. So we're going to be rebuilding all of your parks, and it's going to happen fast. It's going to go up like a miracle. So,
Landscaper-in-chief Donald Trump talks about regrassing, not resodding, not laying new sod, regrassing. The guy who is a self-described, he's very good at grass. I know more about grass than any human being, and then uses the wrong term to describe the action that he's describing. And of course, the emperor's nakedness is not nakedness. It is beautiful, luxurious garments. Pam Bondi took to the airwaves to back Donald Trump's play about the regrassing and the beautification of the city of Washington, which is strange because if you have a war zone, let me tell you what they're not focused on right now in Gaza. It's where grass is. When you have a war zone or a wildly dangerous city like Washington, D.C., they claim, why focus on the grass, dear leader? Why not focus on the murder, not the grass? But, you know, this tells you all that you need to know. Here's Pam Bondi touting the accomplishments and the grass genius that is Donald Trump.
Because we are going to keep all of America safe thanks to the direction of Donald Trump. And he's also going to make America clean, as you were talking about earlier. The president is so excited about fixing up D.C. All new grass, sprinkler systems, our monuments, getting rid of the graffiti. And that's what people are loving. You know, Sean, you only hear from the minority who are out there screaming and yelling that they don't want this. But the people of D.C. are actually thanking our officers, all of our federal, state, and local officers, when they're out there all night long fighting to keep America safe. And I think it's crystal clear because the homicide rate has been none this last week.
If you're asking yourself, why is the Attorney General, the head of the Department of Justice of these United States, on the lawn of the White House, not in an office at the DOJ or out in front of the DOJ? Why is she at the White House? this person who runs the independent Department of Justice, why is she out there talking about the grass and not about crime? Why is she out there just defending Donald Trump and backing the play of Donald Trump rather than her job? I would have the same question. And we should all be asking that question, should we not? You can do so in the comments below. What other questions do you have for Pam Bondi and Donald Trump? You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. Please consider supporting this work if you want to help support independent media and I bring you value. If those two things map onto one another, if the stars align and those both are true, please consider supporting this work. First and foremost, you can go to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. And secondly, you can become a channel member on YouTube by clicking the join button below the video or on the channel. I would appreciate it very much. Follow me on social media. I am at Dollemore just about everywhere. We got a new Facebook page for the Dollemore Daily on Facebook, of course, because it's a Facebook page. And you can follow that there. There'll be a link in the description. I'd love to see you over there. It's not a shock. It's not a surprise that the Trump taint sweat aficionados are out there on Twitter sounding the alarm about how unbelievable this is. You're going to hear about this story. Donald Trump is certainly going to talk about it. Conservatives are already beside themselves with anger and outrage and grief. For Big Balls, the teen who was punched in the face by a 15-year-old girl, and he bled a little bit, as happens when you get punched in the face. But he was not attacked by a roving group of a dozen or more grown men who beat him senseless and merciless. This is just not what happened. The two people who were arrested on the scene were a 15-year-old boy and a 15-year-old girl. Children. Just wanted that on the record. Here's the headline from the Daily Beast. Judge releases teens charged in Big Balls assault in blow to Trump. They're losing their minds over this. And look, did they commit a crime? Yes, it is alleged they've committed a crime. Have they been convicted of a crime? Have they done something that merits perpetual incarceration, confinement, pre-trial, pre-case? I don't think so. They're children, after all. Are we to treat them like hardened serial killers? Come on. There are better ways, more effective ways, more just ways to deal with criminal justice and children, and it is not perpetual confinement. It's not smart. It's not. There's no efficacy in it. It's just. It's the fascist way to deal with things. It's the lower thinker way to deal with things, and that is what Republicans are crying out for. Blood, in some cases. A judge rained on Donald Trump's crime crackdown parade when she released from a youth holding facility two teens charged in connection with the alleged assault of a former Doge staffer. The teens, a boy and a girl, both 15 and from Maryland, had been held at Washington, D.C.'s Youth Services Center since being charged in an alleged carjacking assault in the city on August 3rd. The case caught Trump's attention, who said the 19-year-old victim, Edward Big Balls Korestein, was beaten mercilessly. Let me tell you, you can always tell the people who have never actually been punched in the face. I have on multiple occasions. It is unpleasant. I have a scar on my lip when I bounced in a bar. And I got punched in the face by a dude, and it split my lip wide open. I got a whole bunch of stitches. That's one of the many times that I've been punched in my dome. I know what it's like. It's unpleasant, but it's not mercilessly beaten. Just because you have a little blood on you, because you got knocked on your sniffer, doesn't mean you were beaten mercilessly. But Joe Biden appointed Judge Kendra Briggs ordered the teens out of a detention and back to their caretakers, imposing conditions that include electronic monitoring, a 24-hour curfew, and no contact with each other, the Washington Post reported, which is the what I was just talking about. That You don't use a fascist lens to do these things. You use metered, dispassionate justice. That's a reasonable way to deal with these kids. And then, if they break the rules relative to their curfew or removing their electronic monitoring device, then you can talk about indefinite confinement or whatever other escalation you have to deal with them. But you don't commit a crime having the presumption of innocence and just get thrown away forever. And that's not even speaking about how we deal with justice in the black community, how we deal with justice for children who are black, who traditionally, historically, have been treated more harshly, systematically more harshly under our system, treated as adults when they're just children. Studies have shown black girls in schools, young girls in schools, elementary age girls in schools get treated far more harshly than their white counterparts because they're perceived as more in control or more dangerous of their action. It's racism run amok in the United States just about at every level. And it always comes down on blacks in this country. Finishing the article, the decision will almost certainly outrage Trump, who celebrated what he described as his administration's crackdown on crime. Washington, D.C. will soon be great again, he wrote on Truth Social. Now, the right wing, typically, expectedly, it's not a shock, it's not a surprise that the Trump taint sweat aficionados are out there on Twitter sounding the alarm about how unbelievable this is, that this judge needs to be removed, and making threats of, welcome, I'm introducing you to this person to go harass. We're already seeing threat levels against federal judges and other officials like this off the charts, where people are sending pizza orders to their homes just kind of as a message that we know where you live. This is just one more of those. Here is, again, Trump taint sweat aficionado, Nick Sortor, breaking. Biden judge Kendra Briggs has just ordered the release, in all caps, of the youths, in quotes. Remember the thing I just said? Black girls in elementary schools are considered adult or more old or more mature or more dangerous than they are. This is an extension of that. Calling this black 15-year-old boy and this black 15-year-old girl kids, children, quote unquote, youths. Do you mean that they're actually adults? Why put it in quotes? Nick Sortor? Were you confused because the aroma of Donald Trump's grundle butter got a little bit under the nose and you got distracted for a second? You thought they were adults? Is that what happened, Nick? You racist fucking ghoul. The youths, quote unquote, who attempted to murder big balls in the streets of DC, these delinquents need to be taken into federal custody, if possible. Federal custody? Was there a federal crime? Or was it a misdemeanor? They have no business, all in caps, on the streets of DC. They attempted to murder big balls, the grown man, Nick Sortor, dipshit. It wouldn't be a Republican outrage session without Gunther Eagleman. It's like, these people. Anyway, this is what he tweeted. Meet Biden appointed, again, I'm putting this person on your radar. Go harass them. Meet Biden appointed DEI judge. He means black. He says DEI because he doesn't feel comfortable enough. He's not a bold enough racist to just use the N-word. Gunther Eagleman. Meet Biden appointed DEI judge Kendra Briggs. This political hack has released the violent youth attackers that beat Doja's big balls from juvenile custody in DC. She needs to be removed. Under what mechanism would you remove this judge? This Biden appointed judge? this presidentially appointed, Senate-confirmed Judge Gunther Eagleman, how would you remove her? Do you understand the processes? Do you understand what authority you would need to do so? Or are you just firing off nonsense on Twitter? You coward dipshit. You anonymous. Now, we know who the guy is now, but this is an anonymous dipshit on Twitter with a fake name. Very bold, very brave, these conservatives are, to attack children, youths.
We will not fall to rogue judges. We will not fall to people trying to be political when they should just be doing their job, respecting the president.
Donald Trump learned from his first term that he needs to pick the most sycophantic bootlicking lapdogs that exist in the Republican Party to support his administration this time. He doesn't want any John Bolton types, any Rex Tillerson types, any James Mattis types, anybody who might get in the way of the fascist overtaking of the United States government, the fascist infiltration of our democracy. So he puts people in place, even illegally, even against the rules and against the regulations and against the norms and against the wishes of the system. And by the system, I mean the laws, the rule of law of the United States under the Constitution, to which Donald Trump has sworn an oath multiple times. It's not a suggestion how this works. It's law. And Donald Trump is so emboldened by the Supreme Court ruling that he has absolute immunity from his criminal actions taken while president, that you cannot prosecute a sitting president for anything that he does, up to and including, it was argued before the Supreme Court, deploying SEAL Team 6 to assassinate political rivals. That was an actual argument made before the Supreme Court. That's where we are. That's the kind of power that Donald Trump has been imbued with from the Supreme Court, 3 of whom he appointed. That's where we are it's fascism, folks. It is fascism. So when he appointed ALINA HABBA through a series of personnel moves, it was illegal. And now she is illegally serving as the U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey. Illegally serving in her role in law enforcement in the Department of Justice. This is the headline from ABC News. Federal judge rules, ALINA HABBA unlawfully serving as U.S. Attorney for New Jersey. Trump had named HABBA, his former defense lawyer, as New Jersey's interim U.S. Attorney. His personal lawyer. There are many now who were his personal defense attorneys in the many criminal cases against him that he has now appointed to high positions within the Department of Justice. People who were on the payroll of the Trump organization are now on the payroll of you and me. A federal judge in New Jersey on Thursday ruled that ALINA HABBA is not lawfully serving as the U.S. attorney overseeing federal prosecutions in the state, dealing a blow to the efforts by the Trump administration to maneuver its hand-picked appointees into acting roles at prosecuting offices around the country. You see, here's the other element of this. When you appoint someone acting or interim, they bypass the Senate confirmation process, the constitutionally outlined, the mandated by the United States Constitution, the process that has been outlined for 150, 180, however long the process has been when the federal courts were organized. I don't know the history to speak extemporaneously about it, but it's been a long time that this has been the case. And Donald Trump wants to disregard the law. He wants to disregard the process. He wants to disregard the Constitution and do things his own way. And a federal judge said, no, that is not how it works. After reviewing several issues, this is from the judge, after reviewing several issues of first impression, the court concludes that Ms. HABBA has exercised the functions and duties of the office of United States Attorney for the District of New Jersey without lawful authority since July 1st, 2025, said Judge Matthew Braun, the chief district judge for the Middle District of Pennsylvania, in a 77-page order Thursday. He went on, quote, the executive branch has perpetuated ALINA HABBA's appointment to act as the United States Attorney for the District of New Jersey through a novel series of legal and personnel moves, Judge Braun wrote. Quote, along the way, it has disagreed with the judges of the United States District Court for the District of New Jersey and criminal defendants in that district about who should or may lead that office. Quote, faced with the question of whether Ms. Habba is lawfully performing the functions and duties of the office of the United States Attorney for the District of New Jersey, I conclude that she is not. That she is not lawfully qualified, lawfully performing the functions and duties of that office. Now, Ms. Habba, ALINA HABBA, the Trump goon sycophant, grinning moron, ALINA HABBA, the loser lawyer. Think of which cases did she win of Donald Trump's? Loser. And here she is losing once again, rushing to Fox News as quickly as her little feet can pitter-patter her there to talk about this, to whine about this, to scold the judges that they need to do their job and respect the president of the United States, as though that is their job, as though the job of a federal judge is to bow down and revere the dear leader, to respect the president. Watch this.
Number one, I was the nominee to become the U.S. Attorney, and Cory Booker and Andy Kim, who I have never to this day spoken to in my life, despite my attempts to meet them, have truly, truly done us a disservice. And frankly, same with Senator Grassley, by holding up a traditional blue slip, not a law, and not allowing a lot of the president's picks to go through and be voted on by Senate. I didn't even get to that point. Then fast forward, it goes to the judges. 17 federal judges in the state of New Jersey, 15 of which are Obama and Biden appointed, that just like, frankly, we saw with Tish James, tried to use their seat for political motivation. I am the pick of the president. I am the pick of Pam Bondi, our Attorney General, and I will serve this country like I have for the last several years in any capacity. You might try and change my title. You might try and fight me. But just like today with New York, we will win. We always do. It just takes time. But it's disturbing what we're seeing. It's not surprising, but it's disturbing. They think they have a voice for 5 minutes. They try and be activists. And Pam Bondi called it like it is. The Attorney General said it today. We will not fall to rogue judges. We will not fall to people trying to be political when they should just be doing their job, respecting the president. And you can't get rid of the president. Almost 100 million people voted for him, and he is still and will be forever the 45th and 47th president of the United States.
There's a whole bunch of nonsense there. And we will not fall to people who are being political, says the woman who defends Donald Trump's early morning raid using his secret police of John Bolton, his former national security advisor. You want us to not be political. This smacks of Republicans. What we're witnessing right now with redistricting everywhere, it's another kind of a thing. Greg Abbott does the thing, redistricts in the middle of a census era. In the 2025, you're supposed to redistrict at the end of the sentence or a census. 2020, 5 years later, they're going to redistrict. And then when California says, oh, okay, we'll do that too. No, you can't do that. That's illegal. That's what they're doing here with this nonsense about not politicizing things. She goes on to say, like you heard her say, they should just be doing their job, respecting the president. I hate to break it to you, fucking moron. A federal judge's job is not to respect the president. And furthermore, Donald Trump did not receive almost 100 million votes. 77 million. You're off by 23 million votes. ALINA HABBA. Are you that bad at math? Or are you that good at kissing Donald Trump's asshole? That is the question that remains, and that is the question I will throw to you to answer in the comments.
He has won the state 3 times in a row, and we're going to continue to work, look at ways to get Missouri's values to match Washington, D.C.'s values.
That's my alert. That's my new Trump bootlicker alert. Do you like it? Mike Kehoe, the governor of the state of Missouri, has decided to join the fray after being directed by Donald Trump to redistrict the state, a la Texas, a la other states that are going to endeavor to assist Donald Trump at his behest. He goes on True Social and he orders them to do it. They say, yes, sir. How many seats do you need? We'll jump right on that. He posted this on True Social on August 21st. The great state of Missouri is now in. I'm not surprised. It is a great state with fabulous people. I won it all 3 times in a landslide. We're going to win the midterms in Missouri again, bigger and better than ever before, says Donald Trump. This was yesterday at 6:34 a.m. Now, I'm going to play a clip of Mike Kehoe, who was asked about this, about is Missouri in? But let me give you the lay of the land. Let me read you a few paragraphs from this Missouri Independent article. Donald Trump says Missouri will revise congressional districts to favor Republicans. Governor Mike Kehoe hasn't called a special session, but a statement after the president's social media post indicates he is moving closer to convening lawmakers. We have a statement from him, and it comes in video form. But first, Missouri, quote, unquote, is in for redrawing the state's congressional districts in a special legislative session, President Donald Trump proclaimed Thursday on his social media platform. With Texas moving quickly toward a mid-decade revision of its congressional map to tilt 5 districts toward the Republican Party, Missouri would now be expected to follow suit to help the GOP gain 1 more. Missouri has 8 congressional districts and Democrats hold 2. Any proposal is likely to split the 5th district, which is mainly in Kansas City, by adding Republican voters in sufficient numbers to take it away from incumbent Democratic Representative Emanuel Cleaver. That would give Republicans 7 of the state's seats in the House. For nearly a month, Trump has been pressuring Governor Mike Kehoe and legislative leaders with calls to at least 1 Republican lawmaker who expressed reluctance to go along. Quote, and then they read from the post I just read you. And then finally, and Kehoe, in a statement responding to Trump, inched closer to saying he intended to call a special session at a news conference in his office Tuesday. Kehoe said no decision had been made. It's not exactly what he said. And for that, I go to this tweet from Greg Palermo, who is a local politics reporter there. He tweeted this: I asked Governor Kehoe this morning if Missouri is, quote, in on redistricting, as President Trump's social media post suggested today. Kehoe wondered if it was about news that more FBI agents are coming to St. Louis. Kehoe, not the smartest knife in the drawer, if you know what I mean, misunderstanding the question. Here was the answer to the question about, are you in? Is Missouri in on trying to steal democracy and steal the votes and influence and will of the people from the citizens in Missouri?
I thought he meant we were in for the FBI piece, so that's the way I read that, and I guess maybe I misread that. But so we're again grateful for the investment in public safety through the FBI. We've said all along, you've heard me say this for the last 2 or 3 weeks, we're working with our legislative leaders. The president's right. He has won the state 3 times in a row, and we're going to continue to work, look at ways to get Missouri's values to match Washington, D.C.'s values.
We're going to do what we can do to get Missouri's values to match Washington, D.C.'s values. Let me be the MAGA interpreter, the moron interpreter here. I don't speak it fluently, the language of idiot, but what he just said was we're going to get Missouri's values to match Donald Trump's values. That's what he means, because if not for Donald Trump demanding that this gets redistricted, it wouldn't be on the table. If not for Donald Trump directing Greg Abbott to do whatever he wants, even though, states' rights and all, 10th Amendment and all, Constitution and all, they are not under the thumb of Donald Trump. That's not how our system was set up. Any power not specifically granted to the federal government or specifically denied to the states is for the states. That's a paraphrase of what the 10th Amendment of the Constitution says. Yet, these bootlicking sycophants, these grundle butter craving Republicans, they cannot get enough of just taint sweat. I love Donald Trump's, just give me the genital flavor. Mike Kehoe, Greg Abbott, every other Republican, they just love getting on their knees for Donald Trump. Even at the cost of our democracy, even at the cost of actually stripping away the will of the people from them. It's going to be, look, they're changing the rules midstream here. If Democrats are going to win, if we are going to win, if America is going to survive, the Democratic Party needs to follow these new rules. You cannot exist in a political order. You cannot not operate in a political order that no longer exists. It's the same thing I said to Cory Booker. It's the same thing I said to Elizabeth Warren. It's the same thing that I said to Alex Padilla, to every politician, every member of Congress that sat with me and David Pakman last month. I said the same thing to every single one of them. The old way of doing things does not exist. That political order of my good friend across the aisle with whom I can cooperate no longer exists. We have a malign party as one of the two major effective political parties in this country. One that is now just beholden to Donald Trump, worshiping at the throne of the dear leader who is invading the houses using his secret police force, who is invading and occupying the nation's capital with the military under false pretense. It's time to get off our asses, get out in the streets, and let it be known that you will not tolerate this. If you live in Missouri, you need to be inundating Mike Kehoe's phone. You need to be calling your members of Congress, 202-224-3121, and let them know there will be a political consequence if they go forward with trying to strip the Democratic voice away from the people. What do you think? You can let me know in the comments. Tell me how wrong I am, or that you mildly, sometimes, once in a while, appreciate what I do. I would appreciate that very much. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And absolutely, of course, as always, you can email me daily at dollemore.com. I love and appreciate you. Keep your head on a swivel. Take care of yourself. Engage in self-care. For you, if that means taking a nap, take a nap. If it needs turning off YouTube videos about politics, even mine, do that for yourself. Turn off the news. Check out. Go touch grass. Go watch your dog. Pet your cat. Play with your kids. Take care of yourself. And the reason I say it is because I go through swings where I don't want to hear anything about the news. It is terrorizing to the psyche. And we need to be healthy. We need to keep ourselves safe so we can continue endeavoring against fascism. Because if we're all frazzled, we're not healthy, we're no good to each other. Anyway, I love and appreciate you very much. Take care of yourself, be genuine, and take care of one another.